Hey, welcome back to Iron Senior's Heirloom Lessons. One of my favorite things to do is to cook outside. And the reason I like to cook outside is it brings back a lot of my best memories of spending time with my grandmother and my father. And it's an older way of life. We run around today. When I say we, I can only speak intelligently for myself. But always so busy, just so busy. We don't have time to eat proper. I don't, because I'm running around and I'm going to just pop in and grab something. The truth is, more and more, especially since my most recent move, and I have the space and I have, easy access to a lot of my favorite hobby stuff. And so I'm going to recommend, if you haven't or if you don't regularly, I'm going to recommend that you try breaking out one of the old cast iron pans. And what a great way to prepare food outside. You feel completely different as compared to being in your kitchen. This is probably the pan that has seen the most use in the last few years for me, because this is large enough that I can prepare an entire meal very easy for 4 or 5 people. And when I go out to out to the forest or off-road on the adventure bike, this is the pan I take, and in this pan I can do nearly anything. And over the last few years, I've gotten a lot better at timing and being able to kind of put in the potatoes, and when they're about right, throw in all the other stuff. This is really a great unit, a little Dutch oven. If you enjoy making stew, this is a really old one. It was a gift, but these things just never go out of style. They're always in great shape, and if you keep up with them, they will literally last, and your children will be fighting over them. This is one that I purchased not too long ago because I have a large outdoor burner, and I just made spaghetti the other day, and it was a huge hit. But if you don't have one of these, they're incredibly inexpensive. This one is not of the highest quality. This is not a Staub or even a Lodge. This is one that I picked up at Target. And this pan, it's a Chrissy Teigen, whatever that means. This pan was, I think, $30. Brand new at Target, and it's got a little bit of a hot spot if you are cooking over an open fire and you just throw this. You will get a little bit of a dome, but generally I put it on a couple of logs and I support this just above the coals, and I've never really had any issue. However, they make better stuff, and the price difference is huge. This I bought just to try it, and we have used it extensively. It is very well seasoned. I can put eggs in here. I can just cook almost anything. I'm very familiar with this. This one as well, a little bit bigger. This is a Lodge. So much so that in our house when we moved, I don't want to say insist, but it was certainly, I encouraged my wife to purchase cast iron, and we did bite the bullet. We purchased some Staub, and it was expensive, uncomfortably so. However, my wife has gotten very familiar with cooking on it. She does not like the weight, but what it does in food preparation is well worth the sacrifice of moving a little bit heavier pots and pans. And I try to be a gentleman and help her out, washing them and so on and so forth. But I'm going to try and cobble together from a lot of different footage some of the experiences that we have out in the forest cooking with this pan, and you will see that it's kind of an event. And that sounds crazy, but in today's fast food, I see a lot of people, getting nuggets out of a bag in the freezer, and they're microwaving this and microwaving that. And this is just a great way to slow down. It forces you to kind of make it an experience. And it will likely bring back some memories. I remember walking into my grandmother's house, and she did everything on a wood stove, believe it or not. And she used to have a pan similar to this one. And she would probably cook 3 breakfasts every morning, because my grandmother was the first home on a street with our last name on it. And so all the family kind of lived there. I shouldn't say all of the family, but several members of the family lived there. And my uncle would come first thing in the morning at about 5:30, and my grandmother was up, and she'd make him a couple of eggs, and then my dad would come by, 45 minutes later, and then another uncle or cousin would go by, and she was just, that was her gig. She loved to make breakfast, and she would always say, "Oh, I've got nothing to eat," and in no time the cast iron would have something very, very special in it. I'm going to recommend that you guys try this. There's a learning curve to it. There's a seasoning process. For me, I generally put a very liberal amount of canola oil, and then I'll put, say, a half of a container of salt, like just Morton salt, and I just let it burn until it's just literally charred, and that will typically put a nice smooth seasoning on it. You can cook and it will season over time. If you do, pork is the most forgiving. If you're not into pork, something that is fatty is a great way to season these. A little salt, a little bacon, and these things get very nice. They are virtually non-stick. I use a margin trowel. That is my signature. Anybody who knows me has seen them. I carry a margin trowel because it is very effective. It will not scratch this. You're not in danger of ruining this or scratching it. It is virtually non-stick, and those tools work really, really well. And it's kind of neat just to see old world implements. But stay tuned for an upcoming episode where we actually cook on this. I think you're really going to enjoy it, and I encourage you to try it. Cast iron.